Welcome back to Buckets, WNBA edition. I'm your host, Jim Turvey. It's a Tuesday. You know what that means. Dano Mataya is in the house. Dano, you got the Sabrina jersey behind you. We got Sabrina on the docket today. A little bit of a quieter slate, just 2 games. It'll probably be a little bit of a quicker episode in general here. But how are you doing? How was the weekend? Betting-wise, life-wise, how are things going?
The weekend was good. Saw the greatest tennis match of my life on Sunday. Hit the Coco future. Love that. Not a good weekend to be a Sabalenka fan. She was a little wild, but from the W perspective, started out super hot and then cooled off a little bit. I thought dogs were going to have a day on Sunday, especially after or on Saturday after the Valks tore up the Aces. The Valks are kind of for real.
We'll talk about what we're going to do in the second half. We'll walk through our teams 13-1. We'll kind of do a little brief ranking. Again, a quicker episode than normal, but that was a fun game to watch, man.
Yeah.
They're a fun team to watch.
How was your weekend?
Good. Relatively quiet over here. Betting wise, even I'm trying to kind of bring it down from mass volume. We've had so many edges in seasons past. Seems like edges aren't there, so it's really pick and choose your spots. That being said, I do have 4 best bets actually for today. I think the slate is actually kind of approachable, even though it's just a 2-game slate. So why don't we kind of launch into it? Before we get to that, I'll say as a reminder, got our no longer brand new, they're just kind of established but still fun and semi-new WNBA projections available in the Action Network app. So if you're looking for an edge betting WNBA sides, totals, or player props, Action Pro projections are the perfect tool for your toolbox this season. If you aren't yet an Action Pro subscriber, you can get $20 off an annual subscription right now. Just visit actionnetwork.com/pro to sign up. That's $20 off an annual subscription price at actionnetwork.com/pro. So for our 2 games on Tuesday, we have the Chicago Sky at the New York Liberty. Liberty are laying a bunch of different numbers out there as we're recording. I saw a 17, I saw an 18, I saw an 18.5. So a little bit of variety in the market, but a big number is the point. The total is 164.5. Then we've got Indiana at Atlanta laying 5. Again, I saw a couple of different numbers over there as well. So things are moving. People are in the market right now. That total is 162.5. So without further ado, Dano, what are your best bets for Tuesday?
My best bets would be Liberty first half -9.5, and then the first half under in the Fever and Dream game, and that right now is at 82.
Nice. My best bets, I'm going with 2 player props and 2 kind of sides or team bets. I'm going with Alicia Gray under 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Going with, very similar to you, I'm going Chicago first half team total under 35.5. Going Ariel Atkins over 3.5 assists. And I'm going Atlanta -5. We'll kind of talk through all those plays. Let's do it game by game. I think that's a fun way of approaching it. So let's start with our plays in Chicago and New York. We are very overlapped on this play here. So why don't you lead, and then probably I'll just basically say what Dano said. But you've got the Liberty in the first half laying 9.5. What do you like about this bet here?
6-2 against the spread in the first half. Absolutely dominant. I think they were -8 in the first half against the Mystics the other day, and they were down 5 at the end of the first quarter, and we're up by 15.5. You give this team 20 minutes to flex their muscles, and that's what they're going to do. They are the best team in the league. We'll get to that later. They are incredible. Don't care if Jonquel doesn't play. Sure, that could mean Camilla and Angel could eat a little bit, but I don't trust them to get the ball. I think Sloot was having a tremendous season. I think it sucks that she tore ACL, especially at the kind of latter parts of her career. It's going to be tough for her to come back. But more than that, Tyler Marsh is screwed. I took the Sky +3 against the Fever, and I was feeling pretty fine. And then the minute Sloot goes down, and I see Haley Van Lith come in. This team is a disaster. I think you and I were having a text argument this weekend about who's the worst team in the league, because I was saying without Sloot, this team is toast. So yeah, I think, and I was texting you that was Martin Gilling, their team total unders the rest of the game. So I do like that team total under look. I just don't know how they score unless Rachel Banham and Rebecca Allen just go nuts from three. Uh, and I think the Liberty are here to handle business. I like the edge with it being a Commissioner Cup game that they lost in the Commissioner Cup title. I think they want to go back and get it. They also love money. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should level set just in case people weren't fully tied into the W this weekend. I probably should have mentioned that. Yeah, probably the biggest news from the weekend was this Courtney Vandersloot torn ACL. Really sucked to see. She was playing really well. She was a player who was secretly super duper important to, Chicago isn't even having a good start, but she was essential to kind of keeping them, even semi reasonable in games. She went down 4 minutes into their game against the Fever over the weekend. And I mean, things fell apart. They scored 52 points in that game. They didn't top 15 points in a single quarter. Now they've had some time to adjust. They'll have had to practice. I'm very curious to see if Haley Van Lith will be in the starting lineup. I think if she's in the starting lineup, it helps the team total under here. To be perfectly honest, she's a rookie, and nothing against her. She might grow into being a decent player, but that's a lot to have to try and run what isn't a great offense to start with, and take over from Courtney Vandersloot, who's one of the greatest kind of lead point guards of all time. And even with her, they were a bottom of the barrel offense. So it really is going to be a struggle. This New York defense is elite. I'm taking the first half specifically, but I don't mind the full game, especially because, like you point out, it's a Commissioner's Cup game. Scoring margin matters in these. Now, New York may have it locked up regardless. They've been cruising in these games anyways, but they'll probably leave the starters out there an extra minute or two with it being a Commissioner's Cup game just to try and get that margin. Pretty healthy. I don't see them getting stopped in any of these Commissioner's Cup games. We'll talk about later. I don't know if I see them losing a game for a while, to be perfectly honest. So. I'm on the team total under here. The best bet on the player prop side is a little bit, I would say it's like a 75% best bet here, in part because I do want to see that starting lineup. So Ariel Atkins' assist rate more than doubles with Sloot off the court this season. She's at 10.9 per 100 with Sloot on the court, up to 23.4 with her off. However, if she is next to HVL, like we saw in the second half of that game, Haley Van Lith was the starter that Marsh went with to replace Sloot. And that's, the ball is in HVL's hands a little bit more. I kind of think they might go to Banham next to Atkins and kind of rely on Atkins to do a little bit of the playmaking. If that's the case, I'm obviously going to love this bet. I'll probably hit, the escalator up to 6 and 8 as well, even though I don't think the Chicago offense is going to really do all that much. Ariel Atkins did have 3 assists after Sloot left the game against Indiana. And that was a game where, again, they had 52 points. Against New York, they're going to be struggling again, but 52 is a rough outcome. Like even against top defenses, WNBA teams usually score more than 52 points. So I think this Ariel Atkins look I'll really like. I'll probably play it no matter what, and I might add a little bit, maybe even the escalators, depending on the starting lineup there. Let's move over to the Indiana-Atlanta game. You've got the first half under here. I know this is something you targeted last week when we kind of talked through trends. Is this a little bit of that? A little bit on the defenses? What are you looking at here?
Yeah, it's definitely a trend with Atlanta. I think this now would have cashed 3 games in a row. I had the over. Dream Road overs are, I think, 4-0, so I had the over in that Sun game, and it barely got there thanks to a Tina Charles free throw. Can't believe Atlanta lost that game. I like the Sun in that matchup, but I obviously cannot figure out when to bet the Sun, so I've banned them.
Yeah, I saw you tweeted out no more betting on the Sun.
Yeah, and I had to double down on it because I went back to it. But seriously, something about not just like we said, the Dreams defense is super locked in. Their offense seems to get off to a rather slow start to get things going, and I watched the on-ball defense that Brian Howard and Alicia Gray are playing. Even Mike Caldwell's doing a little bit of the same, and they're making things so terrible. It's like the only way that you can really have a successful game as a guard is if you're kind of unconscious, like the way Marina Mabrey was in that game.
Yeah.
Like they're pressing up full. They don't get foul calls really. Like it really just works. And the game does feel slower until they loosen up. And I'll probably play the second half over like I've been doing. But yeah, so kind of following the same game script. And I mean, I do think it'll be a little different because in the last week, I feel like we had a lot of teams that had like 6-7 days off. So we're finally seeing the team play again after 3 days, except for the Wings. I feel like the Wings are playing every other night for some reason, mentally. But yeah, so following that game script and kind of that offensive defensive rating that I talked about with Atlanta last week.
Love it. Yeah, I'm on the Atlanta side here in general. They're laying around 5. This is no Caitlin again, no Sophie Cunningham again. Didn't matter last game against Chicago, but Atlanta is not Chicago. This is a very good Atlanta team coming off a pretty embarrassing loss as well. I think they're really going to, that was the first game back for Jordan Canada. I think you saw some of that. Sometimes when a good player comes back, it takes a second to adjust. And that kind of leans into the second part of the bet here, the Alicia Gray under 24.5 PRA. She had the ball out of her hands just a lot fewer drives. The thing I thought was super notable, her field goal attempts were around the same, a little bit lower. Her 3-point attempts were down, but most notably, she'd been averaging 7 free throw attempts a game. She took 0 in that game against Connecticut. And I think it was, she had been kind of the lead facilitator, starting with the ball in her hands, getting downhill. Now she isn't going to have that opportunity nearly as much with Jordan Canada, which in the long run is fine. It just, the offense looks a little bit different, but it did look like there was a second to adjust there. She still had 4 assists in the last game, but I do think that is one that makes sense. The more the ball is in Jordan Canada's hands, the more it makes sense to, be fewer assists for Alicia Gray. And this is a good Fever defense. I cannot believe that the Fever defense is like what they're hanging their hat on right now, but they're third in fewest points allowed. They allowed the fewest assists in the W per game and the 5th fewest rebounds. So they're really a good underspot for PRA in general. And Gray looked like a little bit adjusting back with Canada back. So I think another game of this, I will be on the Atlanta side. But I do want to see Naz Hillman right now is questionable. And that seems like Naz Hillman, like people listening to this might not even have heard of her. Really, really good bench piece for them. And she's actually, they're literally their best player by on-off metrics this season. Part of that is that the Atlanta bench has been good, but she's been really essential. She's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, kind of slots in there and really does a good job. I think it'll be really good to defend the players that Indy does have right now. So it's a lean right now. I want to see where the market goes, and I really want to see Naz Hillman in general. I really like that. But a fully healthy Atlanta team, to me, a fully healthy Atlanta team versus a fully healthy Indy team are like probably about equivalent. We can talk about that when we go through our team ratings. But if you have no Caitlin, that's at least 3 to 4 points on the spread. No Sophie, maybe another to round it up to 4.5 points. I get out to almost 6 or 7 here for the Dream if they're healthy. So I'll be on the Atlanta side. Do you have any other thoughts on this game before we move along?
No, I like that you brought up Naz Hillman. Like I'm surprised at how effective she's been. I mean, I thought she's always been kind of efficient, but going from the starting at the 4 and Tanisha finally finding the right lineup, which is funny that the Aces were all happy about getting a dream bench player that was somewhat ineffective. But still, she has come in and just added value every time she's on the court. I know her on-off numbers got to be crazy. So yeah, no, I probably lean that way. I think I've figured out the Fever once in this whole non-Caitlin thing. I got it right at the start, and then started have continued to fade them, and they've continued to surprise me. So I'm laying off, but I love the revenge spot, or not the revenge spot, but like the bounce back spot.
Yeah.
And they're at home. They tend to sell out their small arena. It should work. No dig at the small arena. Just pointing out a fact.
Yeah. If you can sell it out, then that's even better. So now, Dano, you were nice and adjusted time frame. Did you have a chance to get a survivor pick in, or do you need a second to find one? I can give mine first if you want.
Yeah, give yours first. I had a general idea, but I was bouncing between two. So
Okay.
please,
So
go ahead.
if you first time listening, Dano and I have this Survivor game going where we started at a play of -1,000 or less, and we're kind of making our way down towards even money. And each week we have to pick a bet. So last week was -800 or less. This week's going to be -700 or less. We're still both alive. We both, I think, we're 3 for 3.
I barely got there. I think Kayla ended up at 10.
There have been some real close calls so far, but we are still alive. We're both in, and it's -700. I found one right at -700. I'm pretty pleased with this one. So Sabrina Ionescu 3+ assists is -700 here. Was that on your short list?
It was, and then Sabrina asked you 2 threes, but I'm not doing that. I would never want to be mad at her.
Yeah, that's very fair. So she's hit this in every game so far this season, and not only she hit this number in every game so far this season, she's actually had 4 in every game this season. Now there is blowout risk here. I really tried to look at the other game to start to see if I could find something that I wanted to bet, but I didn't really love any of the numbers. There's one I was debating, and I'm curious if it's where you'll end up going. But this could get there in the first half, honestly. Chicago allows the 3rd most assists per game. Sabrina had 5 assists in just 20 minutes in their blowout win of Chicago earlier in the season. And it was just too perfect to be right at -700. So I'm going Sabrina 3+ assists, -700. What do you got for me, Dano?
I feel great about mine now. Feel great.
Oh, yeah.
Natasha Howard, 4+ rebounds, -580.
This was on my short list as well.
Dude,
Actually, yeah.
7 and 9 against the Dream before. She's getting there. She's getting 4.
Love it. And that was minus what?
-580.
Nice. All right. So we're locked in. Sabrina 3+ assists, Howard 4+ rebounds. I'll log it. I logged it incorrectly last time, so I'll have to log like a negative free bet at some point. It's very tricky when you're logging these. Sometimes it doesn't quite look exactly like it was. So I'll actually shop it and bet it and put in the correct odds. But our producer David Payne had the good idea of parlaying it, so at least it's you're not laying a -700. I think you'll be in like the -300 range, something like that. So
yeah.
We as make sure to follow me and Dana. We are both logging all of these bets. The timing on it, I'm going to wait on the JJ news to post this Chicago team total under because I'm not going to move a ton. But the player prop stuff, I'll get up right away, and Dano's been posting his as well. So definitely make sure you're following both of us in the app.
Yeah, I can't be afraid of Chicago. Not with my libs. No way.
Very. I should just go for it. I just wonder if I get a better number if John Quell is officially announced out, if it bumps up a point. But yeah, that's going to be a play either way for sure.
Hey, -333 on DraftKings is what we're hearing for the parlay of the Survivor picks, and it makes sense. Week 3, I love it. Yeah, 15 units. I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
Our Survivor, they have been a little bit. It's funny how difficult it can be.
No, I mean we're I think next week it'll be we'll be telling. Get down.
Yeah.
To, wait. Well, -600 is not too bad.
We're getting there though.
Well, I mean, hey, we just gotta hope we get there. Let's knock on wood right now.
I know. I'd love to at least get to at least -200. That would be if you do the implied odds, it probably makes sense to get to around 3 or 4. If you're doing a bunch of 80%, like when your tipping point is. But all right, we don't have to go too long on this. But let's kind of rank the teams 13-1. I'm curious. I tossed mine in here. I'm curious to see where we overlap and where we don't. I think right off the bat, we'll start at the bottom of the barrel. I think right off the bat, like you said, I think we might have different order. I have a tier. There's a tier of 2 teams at the bottom. I think we agree on the 2 teams, but I think we might have the order reversed. I have Connecticut as the worst team, even though they came off that win over Atlanta over the weekend. And I have Chicago as slightly better, even though they came off this really bad loss over the weekend and no longer have Slate. Do you have Chicago officially as your bottom worst team?
Yes. I mean, they beat at the time, the worst team in the league to me without Paige. I think Dallas. Yeah. I mean, you heard Courtney Williams. I don't know if anyone saw that clip where they were live on Twitch. 1 in 8. Could beat Chicago. This is a lot. I wonder how bad it gets. I do wonder if Tyler Marsh's job security, I'm sure he probably wouldn't have taken it without it. At least some type of verbal promise, but nothing is ever promised in this world. It's a it's a tough roster. You got nobody that can get Angel and Camilla the ball. Like, and I don't know. I just it's they really need a stud point guard to come in and and change things around. Somebody youthful. I mean, I think Olivia Miles probably would have been a great draft pick next year, but that pick will be going to the Lynx. So
Yeah, that is really wild. Like certainly most depressing. If we were doing depressing ranks, I would be with you at Chicago as an easy number one. I just think that full talent wise, Marina Mabry is probably the best player active on either of these two teams. But Tina Charles, I mean, as good as Tina Charles is, it really is just kind of stats for
dude,
her right now.
they've beaten two or not contenders, like mid tier, like to me top four teams.
That is fair.
Like
the resume is probably better for Connecticut right now. But looking at Chicago's roster, I still like Camila Cardoso a lot. Angel has struggled a ton this season. This is part of that. She definitely has. She has slipped a little. But like Beck Allen's a very good player still. I think Ariel Atkins is a good player despite what she has done. She's also struggled this season.
she had 26 the other night. Granted,
That's
it was
true.
Dallas.
She's kind of coming alive. She had a really bad game when Sloot went out. I know this because I live bet her every which way when Sloot went out, and then she had 4 points total for the game.
Yeah.
I mean they're close. These are the bottom two teams, and like you said, without having a pick for Chicago, man, that's like they're in really rough shot. They put a lot of eggs in the basket of Courtney Vandersloot at the point guard. And that's an older player that's really, probably not shocking, but Chicago kind of front office ownership mismanagement again. That is a depressing team to be a fan of. Let's move on from fully depressing to just slightly depressing. I have in the next tier one team by themselves, Dallas Wings, that like they aren't good. I mean, like we said, the 1-8, whatever. But I think talent-wise, you and I agree that this roster doesn't quite belong in that bottom tier. Or would you have Dallas with those two bottom teams?
I mean, like the Page stuff is. Then again, they haven't beat anybody else. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Page has put up some okay numbers against some honestly bad teams. But like, I just don't think that. I mean, I think Chris is a great basketball mind. I think he's a great assistant coach. I don't know if the head coach thing is for him. And I got a text from somebody in a front office after I forget who the Wings were losing to, but it was like, this is why some of us really thought Page would hold out.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think it was that serious. I never thought Page would do that, but like the team is gross. Now, like it comes to a certain point where like, why would you not tank? I mean, they're moving to downtown Dallas next year. Like they're custom building an arena in the convention center. They should have a high draft pick. They could, it could be somebody super popular like AZ Fudd or Lauren Betts. Like, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I think about like how good Tierra McCowan was at a certain point, and was useless. I think everyone was kind of thinking that Nalissa Smith might like flourish in a new place, but I think she kind of is what we've always thought. Dejanay is just kind of the one bright spot. I don't think she deserved most improved player last year. I think she just had more minutes, but she's like, if anything, been the one consistent player. I think she's had one game under 10 points. Enrique is I don't know. I mean,
been as rough an Enrique season as I can remember. It seems like all of the bad habits are just like turned up to 11. It's really tough watching the Wings right now. I think you said it well that Chris maybe isn't cut out for the head coaching thing, because I mean, certainly the vibes around the team are kind of like a little bit like who's running the point, who's running point here, because there's a talented roster here.
I mean, we forget they only won 9 games last year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they weren't good.
And traded
Grant,
away their best player.
yeah, two of those wins were against you know, like runner ups. Like they had bright
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
But they got blessed with the number one pick, and I don't know how to. I feel like you got to do something to keep vibes high. Just be damn thankful that you have Paige locked into this contract, and uh, I mean, if Paige requested a trade, could you blame her?
I know. I think she'll wait to see if they get like if they are able to kind of turn this roster over where like it's hard to put it all on Enrique, but I do think that because of her like usage and touches, I think if she kind of if you're okay with her heading out into free agency, you bring in a new rookie and it's like it's like Paige and Betts. Suddenly DJ is going to look a lot like DJ has looked good. Like suddenly like Tierra McCowan might even look better. I think that that's the play. You do it for one more year if you're Paige, stick around and then see if it's still like if they bring back Enrique, they get the third pick and it's not all that good and the vibes are still terrible. Then no one's going to blame you. But I think you stick it out one more season. I think
For sure, for sure.
all right, this next tier, and I think we'll align on this. I've got three teams in the next tier. Is that do you have kind of if you're looking through standings, do you think there's three teams together, or would you lump a fourth team in there?
Three.
Three, okay. And what would your order be on those three, going worst to first?
Worst Sparks for
Yep,
sure.
I'm with you.
I happy to admit I was wrong. Lynn Roberts is not cut out for this shit. I tried a middle last night. Valks +7 and then the Sparks -2. And Sparks are up one coming out of a timeout and they have 4 fouls with 50 seconds left. Last thing you want to do is give up 3 points. And Rakia is playing like a bulldog defense and then just can't move her feet and fouls. It's like that shit should not happen with a competent head coach. That's just a lack of discipline and lack of focus. Not to mention, Sparks go 2 for 18 in the final 4 minutes of regulation and overtime.
Yeah,
And the only 2 shots were made by Kelsey Plum. Granted, she was like 2 for 9.
yeah.
They have nobody that can create against like decent defenses. Odyssey Sim, sure, against bad teams. We've seen this team blow leads a lot. So it's like just a shooting variance type of good things are happening when they're good. I think Azri Stevens is just massively overrated. I don't know. They need something fresh to happen. Need Brink to be back. And I honestly, this team cannot be good unless Rakia is good. Like if Rakia just plays okay, I don't see anything good happening for them.
Yeah, I have this team at the bottom of this tier as well, which would be what now like the 10th best team in the league, which is kind of crazy because I was very intrigued by them as well.
Yeah.
I do think I'm a little bit more Pollyannish looking forward, in part because I think Brink coming back really like kind of ties the room together and makes this roster make a lot more sense. I think Azrae makes a lot more sense as a bench big than a starting big. I think that that's going to take a lot of pressure off of like that Brink pick and pop is going to take a lot more pressure off of Plum or Sims. And then on the other end, I mean, the Brink defense is super legit. So I want to see it all together with Rakia. Rakia missed a few games. I want to see what it looks like when they're really established. Brink is back, but we might not get Brink like that might be a long time from now. So I'm fine having them be 10th. What's your order on these other two teams? I think even this is kind of a fun discussion on 8th and 9th.
It's my favorite. I hit the Valks to make playoffs at +1200, and I just took them last night to get the 8th seed at +1200.
Yep.
So I'm going with the Mystics as the next best, and I think really they could be tied for 8th. Like
yeah.
I think both are super well coached. I don't know who I'd like to talk about first. I guess the Mystics. And yeah, we're doing another card giveaway. We got a numbered rookie Julie Van Loo and a Prism rookie Aaliyah Edwards. Ooh. The key is to tweet at me a reply or just tell me what I should get my mother-in-law for her 60th birthday this weekend in Cabo because I'm out of ideas. But I think the Mystics have one, a good coach, two, like, incredible talent, three really good vets, like
Yeah.
just cultured vets, like who like are just true professionals, um, and good assets. Like I think they could. I think Aaliyah Edwards is tremendous trade value, and I really think she's the we talked about it the other day. Like I just don't see her kind of uh, fitting in long term with Kiki and Shakira. I
Yeah.
think Shakira's got, like, with her archetype and wingspan, you kind of have to invest in that. She
Yeah.
was your second overall pick a few years ago. And I mean, I think Sonia is just getting more and more confident. Brittany Sykes is literally SGA. Like,
Yeah.
what the? I think we're gonna see. We might see the record for most free throws attempted ever, even with her missing a game or two. Like
It's crazy.
it, she had I think 12 in the first half the other day. Like, just
Just reckless
unbelievable.
abandon to the rim. It's really impressive to watch.
Yeah, her and Alicia Gray are so good at falling down and getting
Yeah.
a call. Like, I don't think Alicia Gray got the calls the other game, but like they both are just like super talented in that sense. Like Kelsey Plum, Sabrina's getting a little better at it. Kelsey Plum's okay at it. Once Caitlin figures that shit out,
It is.
like,
It's a skill. Like people
yeah,
are always on people who get to the free throw line, but if it was that easy, everyone would do it. Like it takes like you have to like be fearless with your body to throw your. Like it
yes,
looks easy on TV. Like think about hitting the ground. All that like that's not easy. And then there's a lot of people that hit the ground and they just kind of flung it and it didn't. Like you have to get that contact. You have to sell it. Like it is a skill, even if it's an annoying one sometimes.
I really think, like, I had this conversation with Sabrina Merchant from The Athletic. It's like, how is there no contender that couldn't use Brittany Sykes
Oh yeah.
to take them over the top? But like, I don't know where she fits. So I just really, uh, as good as she's playing, like, I mean, I can play for a long time. Like, but she is, I mean, she pours into the rookies. It's a good team. So I mean, that's what I have on the Mystics.
Sykes to maybe like the Mercury, but maybe you want the ball in AT's hands. Sykes to Sykes for Jewel Lloyd, who says no.
The Mystics.
Yeah, we'll get to Jewel Lloyd in a second, but let's talk some Valkyries because this is
Oh my
my
god, I should have taken the Aces here.
this that would have been the thing. I mean, listen, the Aces did just lose by they get what was it? It was like a 30-point loss to the Valkyries.
How
This is
disrespectful
my
to
only
me.
future play for the bet. I'm buying out of the Valkyries. You can get 12 and a half wins at Caesars still. I don't want to root against this team ever again. Got
No.
that crazy opener at 15 and a half. Maybe not all that crazy. They
Yeah,
were so good.
happy to say I was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is the best transition into the Valks. Like, I I think Natalie might be the best coach in the league.
I
Like,
agree. I think
great.
there's like the coaching job she's doing, I think is the best. Whether she's like, Cheryl Reed's been doing this for decades. Natalie, the job she is doing right now is genuinely amazing.
And like, sure, they've blown a couple leads, like to
Yeah.
Lynx, to the Mercury, but like the expectations are rock bottom, like from us, from the market, and what they're doing, what they're getting. I think everyone was shitting on them for not keeping any of their draft picks when
Yep.
no one knew what they were getting out of Janelle. And granted, they have a lot of foreign players. We're going to see some go to, I guess, Europe for the Euro Cup games, but they're making Kate Martin one of the most efficient players in the league.
Kate Martin's pull up to end the quarter against the Aces is like
Her hezzy on Asia.
yes.
What the?
Yeah, that's amazing. I will say the only thing if you're a little skeptical and if you didn't get the 15.5 or if you're more like if it's not providing you a middle, they do, like you said, they have a bunch of players who are going to go play at Eurobasket and their schedule is about to get kind of tough. And that could combine and kind of make it so they're okay selling off, like sending Kayla Thornton to a contender. But I'm not doubting this. I don't want to root against this team for one more second. So I'm personally going to be buying out. set myself up for a little bit of a middle and just root for this team every night because they are so fun. The crowds are amazing. And they just like everyone on this team. Janelle Salon is like probably like one of my like 5 favorite players in the league right now. Just like hyper confident rookie with like all the skills and all the ceiling. I couldn't love this Valkyries team anymore. I really do love them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have them as the 8th team. I think you can bet them to get the ACD. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to approach this because there does seem like there's a pretty defined top 7. Now the 7th team just lost to the 8th place team, like we mentioned. I have the 8th Aces all the way down at 7. I mean, is there any reason not to have them in 7th, Dano?
I love that.
Yeah,
I absolutely adore that. It's great. I'm number 1 Aces hater in the world right here, and like I don't even like people are like, oh, Asia's still doing amazing. Well, Asia's like playing 40 minutes. Like I really don't think she's playing that well.
really
Gets a few blocks. Like hasn't been amazing on the boards. Not as efficient from the field. Gets so many bullshit calls. Like as she deserves. She's the best player in the world, but like really not in the same level. I think she had 35 against the Sparks. Maybe I don't know. I just.
But
don't.
she has had she's had multiple games below 20, which is very surprising for her. And their defense, it is a couple straight years of the defense being a little shaky. And now it's tough to put that entirely on her. I think Chelsea Gray is an older guard. Jewel Lloyd really hasn't shown much on that side. But I mean, again, she is the best player in the league, and that's a very high standard. But then you do get held to a very high standard. If you slip even a little bit, it's noticeable, especially on a roster that has a lot of flaws on it.
Yeah, I mean, I like if Jackie Young doesn't have her at least 20, I just don't think this team is winning many games.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked if they screw around and lose one to somebody near the bottom. Like I don't trust them to cover a 10-point spread against anybody. I think that the days of the Aces like being a wagon are completely done. You're relying on super crazy shot variance. Same issue as every year. Bench is shit. Like I will. I don't want to say toot my own horn, but I do feel a little bit validated in the fact that like people were saying Jewel Lloyd was a one definitive better player than Kelsey Plum, a better defender than Kelsey Plum, like volume down and efficiency down.
Yeah, it's been bad.
And it's not like she's taking good shots, like at all. And yeah, I mean, I think we should all pump the brakes on what we saw on Unrivaled.
The Unrivaled thing, I'm not weighing nearly as much as I did last. I
didn't weigh it at all. I was just like, it's a tiny court, whatever.
Yeah,
it's 3-on-3.
That was the smart approach. I think the important thing to think with Aces is, I'm always with the market, with futures market. You like when you buy in on a team, that's like the low point on them. It's tough. Is there any chance this team has a switch to flip in the postseason? I don't really see it. I don't think either, because we were skeptical before the year. We were down on them. I don't think this is a time to buy on the Aces. I don't think it's a time to buy on Asia MVP. I just don't think this team. I think they are the previous generation. They are the previous era. They were the team, and now I think it's done.
Yeah, I mean, does Asia request a trade?
I mean, she's I think like the whole squad is a free agent at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I guess Vegas loves her, but I just
and they have such good ownership there. I think it's more likely that Asia stays put and everything else scatters around her, and that maybe Jackie is out to Golden State, something like that, and that they rebuild around Asia and can finally get a bench and something. And I don't know what it looks like. It could look entirely different next year, but I don't think it will look like this for sure. And I think that's a good thing, because I think that this roster as is not even a second round team. Honestly, I think they'd lose in the first round.
I agree. I love this.
It is going to be a really tough matchup though. So I think let's semi skip ahead and say, we'll talk about them, but New York, Minnesota is clearly the top tier. But imagine Minnesota, you're the 2 seed and you have to play the Aces in the first round. It's still a little scary.
No, definitely. Asia is scary. I don't like talking bad about her. I just feel like she's listening.
Ranked. So then we've got 4 teams left. So above the Aces in 7th, below Minnesota, New York in 2nd. There's 4 teams. How would you? I think you could do 2 tiers out of it, but I think you could also just do one big tier. How would you order them? Go worst to first for me.
So, uh, and I'm saying this with the caveat that I think Phoenix is punching above their weight class while injured. So I'm going to go Seattle. I'm going to go Atlanta. I'm going to go Phoenix.
And India's 3rd.
Yeah.
We're pretty close. So I agree Seattle 6th. I think that there are a lot of questions here. We've talked time and time about, I do think the coaching is probably the biggest question I have, but I think there's questions about Ezzy too. The Ezzy shooting is like becoming she's like an 80% career free throw shooter shooting like 30%. There's clearly something
so bad.
There's something mental going on there that each passing game is less like this is going to regress the mean. And like, man, did bringing in, a young center right behind her kind of like break her a little bit. I am a little bit worried about that possibility. I went Phoenix 5th. I think it's fair to have Atlanta. I actually went Atlanta 3rd and then Indy 4th. So I think it's more interesting. Let's talk about these 3 teams since we both had Seattle 6th. Let's talk through Phoenix, Indiana, Atlanta. Why don't you give your case for Atlanta 3rd? I'll give my case, or your case for Indy 3rd. I'll give my case for Atlanta 3rd. And then Phoenix, we'll just briefly say I'm with you. They're punching above their weight. I'm interested in seeing what the team looks like when it's all together. But I'm getting a little bit nervous about the AT injury. Like goes on longer and longer. These are, I just don't know if we ever get to see the fully operational Phoenix squad.
I got a source that said she was practicing yesterday.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah, and I don't want to gloss over Phoenix. There's some things I want to say.
Oh, okay, go for Phoenix, and then we'll each make the case for our teams at 3rd.
So Phoenix, Lexi Held, rookie of the year if she had attention, dude. She's incredible.
She's been awesome.
DePaul Demon, an absolutely monster. Like she is just, I mean, she's what the Sparks don't have. Someone that can create their own shot. And
the shot has returned. The shot wasn't the shot like the thing that was there. She transferred, right? She was like at Stanford and transferred out. Is that what it was?
Lexi Held, DePaul.
Okay.
Always been a shooter.
Okay.
She's a stud. Holding her own on defense. Good at creating, hitting timely shots. Like, I mean, down by 8 to the Valkyries, who we just spoke so highly about, and they win by 9, with 3 minutes left. It's unreal. Her and Satu are making some good things happen. I think Satu's been incredible. She's doing everything.
She's been amazing. And I'm also kind of a believer in that, in the Tibbetts coaching and the front office. I think it's very clear they have an eye for talent, and they could bring in a piece or two in at the trade deadline and really be looking pretty good. So the ceiling for them is pretty interesting. But make the case for Indy 3rd, and I'll go Atlanta 3rd.
That's pretty easy, Caitlin Clark, man. I do think that she's the best guard in the league, and I think it was smart to give her some rest, and I think she's going to come back and be incredible. And I do think that this team, once they have some time to gel, can have semi-magic run. I don't put them on the same level as the Lynx or the Liberty, but until the last few games, the Lynx have just been good. They look great the last few, but I do think with Caitlin, she just opens up a ton of different opportunities and on a level that's just different than any player in the league that you have to prepare for. So, but I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone if they had Atlanta 3. I can totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close. And net rating really loves Indiana, even without Caitlin, Caitlin having been in and out. The net rating, they're actually kind of in that tier, with Minnesota. I just think when these two teams are both fully healthy, I think Atlanta, and this is ironic given they just got Canada back and lost the first game back, but I think they know who they are a little bit more. Indiana seems like Bonner, we had bad Bonner, then good Bonner. We had Natasha Howard playing 18 minutes a game for stretches. That's been kind of weird. there are a lot of pieces, and I think at this point, I know he's been in the league less than Steph White, but I think that Smesco has proven to me that he's a very like one of the best coaches. These new coaches, Natalie Nakase and Carl Smesco, seem like two of the best in the league right now. And then with that starting five for Atlanta, if you roll out Canada, Gray, Howard, Griner, Bree Jones, that's a really talented five. And then we talked about the bench, Naz Hillman. You gave a shout out to Maya Caldwell earlier. Pow
Coffee.
kind of Coffee. They have a
deep.
really good, like their roster is really talented, really good coaching. And so I think that their floor is maybe a little bit higher, with Indiana's ceiling being a little bit higher. I think that
I agree with you.
But I think that those two teams right there are, I did actually have them in a tier by themselves. So I think maybe that's the 3-4. And then we don't need to spend a ton of time on Minnesota, New York. These two are clearly the class of the league. What I think is funny, they don't play until July 30th, but then they play 4 times in a 3-week span, which is going to be amazing. I wish they spread it out a little bit, but that stretch of basketball, getting to see these two teams play, I just hope that they're healthy during that stretch so we get like mini finals preview in basically August.
Would you bet? I mean, I joked that someone. I didn't joke. I was telling someone, we were laughing about it. Someone texted me like, "What would you put odds at the New York Liberty to go undefeated?" I was like, I don't know, 200 to 1. It's impossible. And
it's at least a possible thing, which is crazy.
FanDuel put up odds for both of them to go undefeated.
What do they have for the Liberty?
Plus 10,000, and for the Lynx plus 50,000. Then you could bet on their first loss of the season, which is very cool. Like that's awesome.
I have not dug into that yet. Have you looked at it, or you're just seeing it now?
I looked at it last night briefly. I thought it was like pretty funny, but there's. I just like I look at the Lynx upcoming schedule and I'm like, honestly, like you put it. I really think it's there's one game that I'm eyeing because they have the Sparks, the Aces, Sparks, Mystics. So 5 games from now, they are away at the Atlanta Dream, and odds are plus 1,500.
Ooh, and this is for the Lynx to be their first loss. Oh, I think we got a little sprinkle here, a little late episode sprinkle for the folks who stuck around towards the end. I think that's a pretty interesting bet. I like that.
Yep. Meanwhile, Liberty, like they play the Fever after this next game. Away, I think Caitlin will be back, and I mean, like that's another reason. Fever are the only ones who held a candle to New York, so.
Very true. And New York's schedule hasn't neither of these teams they haven't played each other in Minnesota or New York. And I think it's easy to look at the schedule when those are like the two top teams. They haven't played each other. The schedule is easy because they're in a class of their own. But we will have to see when they play each other how they both look.
And New York hadn't played Atlanta. I don't think we haven't played Seattle. Haven't played the Mercury. And we all. I mean, the Aces win looks less impressive. At least we beat them by 14 or whatever. But yeah. So with the Libs, like I don't know, it's I would say it's like typical of us to drop a game to like the Sparks or something, but like this team has not been typical. So.
This season does not seem like it has that like typical letdown spot for the Liberty. And each game, the fun thing about this is with them both being undefeated, they're definitely both aware of it. And it's like kind of like a one-up to eat, like who's going to stay undefeated longer is I think that they're both aware of that. And it's going to make for a really fun. It would be so fun if somehow they made it to that. It's a long ways from now, July 30th. But if somehow, the odds are probably 1 in 100 they're both undefeated at that time, but that would be so fun. That would definitely get some eyeballs.
Man, and like if they didn't have to play each other, I think I would bet the Liberty to go undefeated just to have it. I might do it anyways, though. I mean, because like I don't think there's any way this cashes, but like it's a stupid bet. But if you're
a Liberty fan and if you can be betting on your team to go undefeated in the W, that's insane. That's like it's the put $1 on it just for fun. So a good spot to end there. That was fun running through the teams 13-1. Maybe we'll do that kind of intermittently throughout the season. If you'd like to tail any of the bets we talked about today, look for that quick slip link in the episode description. Obviously, make sure you download the Action Network app. We'll be posting our picks for today in there. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening on any podcast platform, please rate and review. Thanks to David Payne on the audio, Gifford Gould and the squad on the YouTube side of things. And for Dano and myself, let's get buckets.